the Butchers of Kalkagard are bussin'.
The Butchers of Calgard are bussin'. Yeah, that'll keep the Zoomers engaged.
Yeah.
And that's going to be how the video starts, because I feel like hitting start at weird times. So hi, everybody. We have a video today because people requested, after my top 10 Regiments of Renown and bottom 10 Regiments of Renown, people were like, what's the best Regiment of Renown for each faction? And I said, that's a complicated question. This campaign is different from multiplayer, and multiplayer has two pretty different modes in domination and land battles. I'm only good at one of those modes. I'm good at land battles / conquest. Pretty much the same thing. So we needed somebody who's actually good at domination, somebody who can actually be an authority on that game mode. And I went to Turin, and Turin said, Tim. So I was like, all right, lit. So we got Tim. Hi, Tim.
Hi, everybody.
This is Tim the Wilder. Many times second place in a lot of tournaments.
Yeah, that's my claim to domination fame. I've gotten second in more major championships than anyone.
Yeah, I hear Soli Sorrow is really good now. Berserk.
Oh, the kid is good. The kid is good.
Yeah,
He's
Berserk
he's
was
like
good.
he's like Alfred good, but he hasn't played as long.
Yeah.
Sully's really fucking good.
Well, hopefully he's a nice person.
Yeah, he's great. He's a chill dude. He's like an exchange student at just like gamer, nice guy,
Good.
very smart.
Good. You love to hear it. But we don't have him today. We have Tim, because Tim,
Yes, the second best thing.
second best thing, and the best domination content creator there is now that Platypus retired.
That's right.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Turin.
No. He makes content, but none of it is any good. None of it. All right, have fun with that comment
Your
section.
first
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, we'll figure out which is the best. So what we're caring about in campaign is probably how early in the campaign you can get this unit, and I guess cost is a bit of a factor, but also what it can do. Like, I mean, spoilers, but I'm going to say the avalanche mortars for the Skaven because AI love to blob, and destroying a blob is really nice with those guys. But in multiplayer, it might be a bit different because cost is a big factor. You know, you can't just buy a 3,400 gold Shredder of Luster and be like, yeah, because it has the highest stats. And it's like, well, you depleted your army because money is finite and all those things. And I'm curious if domination has any differences. You were telling me when I proposed this video to you that they're pretty similar, but I'm curious if you're like, oh, really? You think that's the best for land battle? Domination actually uses this one all the time. Because
Yeah, we'll see.
resummon is a thing. So, yeah, let's just get into it. Beastmen. So for campaign, I actually don't even know, because a lot of the regiments Renown are super strong in multiplayer, but that's because they're, like, cheap. So I can't think of what one in campaign is crazy. Do you think the Eye of Morslip is really good?
That's a good. Well, the Beastman campaign's kind of weird, right? Like you got a snowball. So I feel like it's probably something unintuitive, like the Destroyers of Drakwold. Because like once Beastman gets going, they're going. It's like the full Torox train.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go with like whatever spikes your power level early. So I'm hot take Destroyers of Drakwold.
Yeah, it could be nice, especially after you just win a battle but your army's damaged. Just summoning a full health Regiment of Renown is
Yeah,
nice, and you get
exactly.
them nice and early. I can get behind that. And the Destroyers are a good unit. It's not like we need to couch this in campaign. I mean, they're solid multiplayer too.
Yeah.
For land battles and conquest, I have to say the Groghooves of Wolf's Run or the Butchers of Calgard are two good contestants. I'm going to go with, honestly, the Groghooves. This might be spicy because the Butchers are very, very good, and I think I could see an argument for either one. But I'll go with the Groghooves because if you're given all the time in the world, they're incredible speed, plus poison, meaning anybody who's chasing them is getting slowed down, makes it even harder to catch them. They have perfect vigor and healing as long as their leadership is high, but it's really hard to get rid of their leadership because they're a Regiment of Renown, plus they have perfect vigor. Throwing axes provide armor piercing, Centaurs are just very strong, so I'd say the Groghooves are actually the best ROR for conquest and land.
You know, I think you might be right. As a unit that just like shows up and trades up often. I also like the Vorbergland Broodmother, but that's like it's situationally a strong unit. It's not on the level of that other unit. For Dom, it's probably just the Butchers of Kalkagard.
Really? I'll be honest, I'm mildly surprised they'd be good in Dom because they're high price point. I feel like it's hard to send them in second. So you'd probably need them in your first army, right?
Usually they come out in like a timing push, and you like to have a terror piece, and they're just like very cost effective at that role. You can't like just generally run them everywhere, but they're never going to be that bad outside of some like niche situations like getting torn up by a cannon.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
they're
suppose the
pretty strong.
regen and silver shields makes them a little tanky on a point.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like if you look at the roster and you want terror, they're just the most DPS to gold option that you can take that also has terror.
Come on, you don't want a Manticore to rampage and die instantly?
Yeah. And do like absolutely no damage.
Yeah.
Like an individual butcher model has a fourth as much damage as the Manti,
Oh boy, that is a
even not
sad thing.
considering AP or its buffs.
I like how Bloodgreed still gives the Butcher's Guard ITP because they have caused terror and they don't need it. But
Does ITP knock off anything else
no,
other than it's just fear and terror?
that's just fear and terror.
Okay, it doesn't like mitigate any of the morale effects or anything, or any of the CC. I should know this, but somehow I don't.
It's not allowed to know it. Bretonnia, God, their regiments of renown are mid.
They're all bad.
They're all bad.
Yeah. The answer is Brett does not have RARs. There are none on the roster. Simple.
Oh boy. I guess for campaign, then the best one I would say is the Companions of Quinel's, just because they're the most expensive regiment of renown. So it's like you can just summon a full health armor piercing knight on the fly. I guess that's the best, but all were pretty bad.
When Grails were OP, they sometimes would get taken as like just an extra Grail.
True.
Like they do okay into the Grails. They actually have really good damage output. They're just squishy.
Yeah, they are squishy. I honestly think it's just the companions because, like, anything else, the argument is literally, well, you can summon it if you're far from home or whatever. And it's like, I mean, I guess, but this is the best unit that you can summon. And Bretonnia doesn't have any money problems, so they're going to be rich as hell. It's the best I got.
If you're playing a multiplayer campaign, I think the Defenders of Fleur-de-Lis are all right because they have very good auto resolve stats.
All right.
They have high armor and MA and MD.
You convinced me. Auto resolve stats will get the defenders in there. For only 900 gold, that's not terrible. And
sometimes you just don't want to fight. You want to just hit the button, and the peasants are not allowing you to do that.
True. Okay, for multiplayer, I'm gonna go with the Knights of the Lionhearted for land battle. With magic damage flourishing everywhere, mitigating physical resistance. Like, you want the Knights of Lionhearted versus Wood Elves, versus Slaanesh, versus Norsca, versus any demonic faction. So I think just like they have enough niche matchups, and their price point is low enough that it's justifiable to take them because you're already spending most of your money on heavy knights, so they're well within your budget. Knights of Lionhearted are good. I'm not going to sing their praises, but they are good.
That's a spicy answer. I kind of like it. For Dom, the answer is do not take any of the regiments of renown.
That's a good answer, but that's not the point of the video. So if you had to,
yes, it's Knights of the Realm.
Okay,
non-rar. It's probably the Companions of Quinel's. They have a niche application as one of the highest anti-armor DPS shock cav that you can get, but they're just like not efficient in that role.
it's a lot of money.
Yes, and they have no shields, so they just get shot.
It's true. Another answer that I know Butcherbird is going to be screaming at me from the comment section is the Wardens of Montfort, the Mounted Yeoman Archer ROR.
Oh yeah,
I think it is solid, but I think
right.
it's useful in less matchups than the Knights of the Lionhearted, which is why I gave my answer the way I did. But they are good.
I think also most of the time, if you want them, it's a little bit of a hard sell over the non-rar. Just
Yeah,
250 more is a lot.
it is a lot, but Butcherbird will not be denied.
Butcherbird is like phenomenal game sense and micro, somewhat questionable judgment. I feel like he's got the problem of he's so good that he doesn't know what is actually effective or not because things just work when he does them. I ask him for build help a lot, and I look at the builds, and I'm like,
I
I don't know
agree.
about this. Suspicious.
For me, that's also Sipa. Sipa and Bird are two players where it's like, I think you're good enough that you're getting away with things. I don't know if this is actually the right build.
Sipa, yes. Although he has boomer hands, so some of Sipa's like strategically very clever. Like he might not be doing the best thing, but there's always a plan when he has his like Sipa nonsense.
Yeah.
Butcher's got like the zoomer hands.
For the Chaos
Infinity.
Dwarves, I think we can skip this whole section, but I think we have to go through the motions. Why is
Sure.
it the Demon's Tongue Dreadquake Mortar?
Because more to go burr.
All right, for campaign, it's definitely the Dreadquake Mortar Demon's Tongue. For Land Battle and Conquest, it's also definitely the Demon's Tongue Dreadquake Mortar. Is it in Domination, or do you have a different one?
Actually, it's two in Dom. The Dreadquake is not good because you can counter summon it. It's actually pretty soft to like one or two good duelist SEs.
Uh-huh.
So it sees almost no play in Dom because it just gets countered. So it's actually the Blazing Beards.
I could see that. I could see that.
Not close either. The Blazing Beards is like an auto take. It's quite good.
Yeah. Frenzy, high melee stats, really good blasting charges.
Mhm.
Nice. See, this is why we ask the questions, because sometimes it's very different. Because in land battles, the Demon's Tongue Dreadquake Mortar is super toxic. Like people,
Yes.
it's very divisive. Because like for anyone who doesn't know, I know Tim knows, but for anyone who doesn't know, the reason people hate it so much is like Tim's saying in Domination, there is stuff that hard counters it. But if you don't have the stuff that counters it, it can legit roll your entire build. So it turns games into a build
Elden
roulette.
Ring. You are dead, dong.
Yeah. Whereas in Dom, you can bring the counters in your second army, and if you need them, summon them.
Yes. Yeah, that's the biggest land battle Dom difference is like Dom games, there's less variety in build roulette where you like bring something exciting and you get them with your cool build. But there's also a lot less like uninteractive toxicity where you just bring this thing and they automatically lose and there's nothing they can do because they can be like, oh, you brought the cheese, I'm going to bring the answer to the cheese.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So more boring, less upsetting.
Fair enough. Demons of Chaos. This is weird because it's going to be kind of a competition between the 4 different rosters.
So many spicy docks or RARs on dock.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll see whatever we pick here again on different rosters, but for campaign, it's
They've got a tough campaign.
They got a tough campaign. I think it might be the Noxbringer for campaign, because being able to summon a Soul Grinder of Nurgle to help you with sieges, because their siege, like, okay, if they're gonna full rush blitz the siege, they'll be fine. But if you need to cheese out a siege versus AI, where like you're just abusing them standing around and using artillery, Soul Grinder Nurgle is really the only artillery you could do that with. The Hellforged Bellowers and the Skull Cannon don't have the angle of fire to get up over walls, so I honestly think it's the Noxbringer.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Just because of variety. I mean, if you're in an open battle, Eternal Entourage are better, Heralds of Khorne's Fury are better, all that stuff. But I feel like the rest of your roster can deal with an open battle fine. Sieges, you really need Soul Grinders of Nurgle, so.
Yeah. It might be the RAR Skull Cannon, but I haven't played the dock campaign since that came out.
Yeah, I just don't have any issues fighting against AI infantry as it is. So then summoning the Hellforged Bellowers is like, oh, this is neat, but I didn't need it. Whereas I've gone into sieges without a Soul Grinder of Nurgle, and I'm like, well, this sucks. I can't kill the towers. All right, for Land Battle and Conquest, as of right now, I think it's got to be the Eternal Entourage. Seekers are murdering everything. They're so good. Ooh, but it might be the Hellforged Bellowers. I don't know. Now I'm curious on your thoughts. I think it's between those two.
Those two units are very good. I actually have a hot take for Dom. For land battles, I'm pretty sure it's the Eternal Entourage. That unit's incredible.
All right. I'll slot it in. So for Dom, what do you got?
It's the Frolickers. I actually think this unit is pretty good at land battles too.
They are.
It destroys Cav. Like I constantly have this unit get like 800 or 900 gold. The melee passive is so good.
I think they can't be knocked down like the piggyback riders.
Oh yeah, it might be like an animations thing. I don't know why, but particularly in Dom because they have Vanguard, you can summon them for a good matchup like Cav or expensive things,
Mm-hmm.
and they just do incredibly well. Like on a efficiency basis, like what's their damage output and game utility versus cost. This unit has to be the best unit on the dock roster right now.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, they are very good. I think in land battles, I always take them as part of my front line, but they're not like the big flashy thing. And when you see the Eternal Entourage at 1/10 HP catch a Slann and kill it instantaneously, it's hard to be like,
Yeah.
listen though, the Frolickers definitely carried that game, and the entire audience is like, bro, did you see the Slann?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're not. It's like a workhorse unit. Like, it's if you get it in a cav fight, it's gonna trade up,
Uh-huh.
and that's very good. Where like the entourage, sometimes it gets like Bunut or something, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
but the frolickers are gonna do their job pretty much every time.
You can also theoretically get the Frolickers like twice in a game.
Oh yeah, which comes up in Dom. Although they're pretty hard to kill.
Yeah.
They're tough. They're very tough.
I'm just saying, if your opponent like absolutely blitzed them, you could just summon them back in like 2 minutes.
Oh yeah. That's a very relevant interaction. Like for you want like late game cap points. The second time, it's more likely that they're fighting Cav because you're like scrambling over a point late. It's just a great unit. It's got good stats. Vanguard deploy plays a role very well.
Love it. Dark Elves. I gotta think on this one. I actually don't know off the cuff. Any ideas for campaign?
They're all bad. Actually, campaign. I feel like snowballing with the Bolt Fiends. Like it's a unit you can get early and you like buff stack.
Mm-hmm.
So it just tears things a new one in campaign.
I'll trust you. They're just looking at these. None of them really inspire me for campaign, so that seems reasonable. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just take that at face value.
Dark Shards are a pretty strong campaign unit because you can stack buffs, and they have a really strong base stats for a ranged unit.
In land battles, I think it's the Crows of Cain. Most of the Dark Elf RORs are niche at best or bad. And the Crows of Cain are a cheap price point, and they have regeneration on a Harpy, which can make them very sticky and annoying to get rid of on your backline. And usually Harpies are thrown at an enemy archer or a gun line just to stop them from shooting. So anything that makes you last longer, and 10 leadership, 10 melee defense, and better than regeneration. Yeah, these guys are really fucking hard to move. So they just do their job excellently. They're not an auto take, but they're good.
Yeah, I like them. For Dom, you're mostly not supposed to take any of them. Like the Bolt Fiends are worse than the other ones. The only one that's really playable is probably the Siren of Red Rune. The Crows are just kind of worse than the Cav is the issue in Dom. They're not as efficient, and they can get counter summoned by light Cav, which is pretty bad for them. Sometimes you can play the Sisters of Singing Doom if you want like a Terrorsaurus that has good anti-infantry properties, but the only one that like I think reasonably sees play a lot is the Siren of Red Rune. It's just like pretty good kite piece, good damage dealer, can like snipe SEs late.
Love that. So far, we've actually gotten a lot of differences, not just like, yeah, it's this one for everything.
Yeah.
Zidawi. This one's hard for the opposite reason for me. They have a lot of really good Regiment of Renowns.
Yes. I have one in mind for the multiplayer games.
Yes. For campaign, I think it might be the Grumbling Guard. I'm looking around to make sure there's nothing else obvious to me, but I feel like the Grumbling Guard are pretty insane. Armor piercing.
Are we counting?
What?
Are we counting extended roster stuff?
No, because those aren't like Regiments of Renown. They're like
Yeah. Okay, sorry, go on.
yeah, because otherwise it'd be the Thunder Barge ROR. But like, I don't know. The Grumbling Guard are all right, and how a lot of my dwarf campaigns go is my front line gets slowly attrition fight to fight to fight. I keep my ranged units super safe, so then I usually need a Regiment of Renown that's melee to replenish my front line. quickly and get back on the march, rather than like, oh man, I really need another ranged unit. I'm like, nah, dude, I have 10 Quarrelers and they're all full health. All my Dwarf Warriors are at like 10 models.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, I don't know. I think the Grumbling Guard are good to just throw in there. So, that's what I had. You seemed pretty ready to go on the multiplayer stuff, so I'll just let you take it away.
Oh yeah, it's got to be the Ekron Miners. Like, these guys are so good. They show up in a lot of situations. They can take out like an infantry unit and a half if they get to pick their targets, then go into melee. They just kind of have it all.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the only units on the Dwarf roster that's an auto-include in most builds.
I don't disagree. I see them quite a lot. And they have Frenzy too.
Oh,
which...
you don't disagree? I was like, oh, this is fun.
I don't
You're
disagree.
Like, I thought you were like hard disagree.
No.
I'm like, oh, okay.
They overcome the only problem of miners, which is armor piercing, but with dog shit stats. And it's like, okay, you have 29 melee attack plus frenzy, so you have 39 melee attack, armor piercing. They're pretty nuts. They're not like crazy OP, kind of like the Frolickers Bubonic we just talked about.
Exactly.
You're never gonna be like, holy shit, they won the whole game, but they're always worth 600 gold.
Yeah, it's a workhorse unit.
What about Dom? Same guy?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for similar reasons. Like the Vanguard's really good. You do get 2 summons out of this typically, and it just trades up. It's good. Or they have to put in a lot of effort to prevent it from trading up, and then that's worth it in itself. Like they're sending in their SEs and their monstrous stuff to stop the charges instead of doing something better with them.
Hot take, the Dragonback Slayers would be the best if they themselves had fire damage, but the only thing that sucks is that they imbue flammable and have no way of following it up.
Yes, agree. And it's they don't quite have the damage output of the Giant Slayers at the same price point without that.
Mm-hmm. I was doing the Dwarf build guide with Gotrek, and he was talking about Giant Slayers, and they're insane DPS, and it's like, it's one of those things that doesn't feel like the stats fully add up. You know, it's like, oh, you guys have 4 more damage, it's some anti-large, okay, and then they shred through like Chosen, and you go, that's not that's not what I thought was gonna happen.
Well, I think it's the AP ratio. They have like a 75% AP ratio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, guys are cracked. Love the Giant Slayers.
Yeah, it's a great unit.
The Empire. Oof, this is tough. You got a lot of good campaign ones. You got the Landship. You got the Temploff Luminarch is good for sniping enemy single entities. You got the Sunmaker. I'm kind of stumped. What do you think on campaign?
It's got to be the Luminarch.
Yeah?
Like, the utility of just kill the thing is intense.
Yeah, enemy lords. I suppose you're surrounded by a lot of low leadership factions. Like, if the goblins from the north or south get going, sniping their lords can make their army pretty easy to get rid of. Kazric, if he lives.
Yeah, and the AI is not always the best at, like, don't let you do that.
I think that's pretty good. I haven't gotten to the Wonder of the Age yet. I started a Karl Franz campaign after the DLC for when I play campaign when I'm not streaming, and it's like, I kind of got burned out before I got to the Wonder of the Age, and then I just stopped playing it.
I'll be honest, I'm going on pure theory because I haven't played an Empire campaign in a very long time.
It's all right. You're a good enough player. I'll let you get away with it. For the land battles, it's probably... I'm going to make Blood Penguin so happy, I'm going to make everybody else so mad. It's probably Silver Bullets. Now everybody shut up. Here's the thing. And Tim can disagree, but audience, you can't disagree because I'm in the past. You're going to want to say the Royal Altdorf Gryphites because Glorious Charge is very good. That's true, and they did just get buffs. You're going to want to say the Sunmaker, Hellstorm Rocket Battery ROR because it deletes infantry and all that stuff. Yeah, shut up. But here's the thing. Those are both pretty niche, and they're very good. I did say this is going to be a hard choice because the Empire has a lot of very good RORs. The thing about the Silver Bullets is, as Blood Penguin likes to constantly say, they're always good. Like, they're good in probably 22 out of the 24 matchups possible in the game, if I had to guess. Whereas the Sunmaker is good in, like, 8 or 9. The Royal Trick Fights are good in, like, 10 or 12 or something like that. I think the Silver Bullets just do their jobs very well, and they're super cheap, so even if your opponent hard focuses them, Like for 850 gold, if they don't hard focus them, these guys are paying for themselves and some, and they're going to do amazing. And if they do focus them, kind of like Skaven Poisonwind Globes, usually what's attacking them is over 850, and then you're going to countercharge it with Demigryph Knights with halberds, or you're going to shoot it with other handgunners, or Karl Franz will get a jump in. So the enemy's probably going to lose an expensive unit to shut them down, and you still trade up in value because you lost an 850 unit for like a 1400 gold unit. So there's my hot take, silver bullets. I'm open to being wrong. Tim, am I wrong?
No, I like it. At least in land battles, especially the stock means that you have a ceiling of just win the game in a lot of situations. Like you Marcus net a flying SE, and it was out of position because it didn't realize that you had the silver bullets,
Mm-hmm.
and the game just like ends. So they're usually pretty good, but they also have that like auto win potential that I think sets them apart.
That's true.
I've lost to Blood Penguin using this unit a lot.
He loves this unit. He'll always take it.
Yeah, yeah.
What about Dom? Okay, question. Is Empire good in Dom?
Yeah, it's all right. We've got it as like a high B tier faction.
Okay.
You can do some stuff you can't do in land battles because you can take more state troops.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some like Mantide Empire Skaven type builds that are pretty threatening, in addition to like the usual Empire shenanigans.
Okay.
In Dom, I don't like the silver bullets quite as much, because like there's a lot of ways to counter them. Like it's easier to get light Cavan. So I actually really like the. This is not a good unit in land battles. The Hammer of Witches is one of the better cannons. Just period.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite accurate. Hits hard. Tears up cav. It's a pretty good reinforcement summon. So you like bring it, wait till they're in range, and then summon it, and it can just be game ending sometimes.
Gotcha.
The Rar demis tend to get countered in Dom. They're
Yeah.
very expensive and kind of slow, so usually the opponent like reacts to them and they trade down.
Well, that was my problem in land battles with them. Why I picked the silver bullets is I played Pigman recently. And he took Dark Elves, and he just blitzed me with like Witch Elves, Scourge Runners, Dark Riders, and Cold One Knights, and he used the Scourge Runners as just chariots. And I had Demigryphs, and like everything hit instantaneously, so the Demigryphs got in a fight, and they had Witch Elves slapping at their feet with the Rampage buff on, and Dark Riders surrounding them so they couldn't leave, and they just died. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, Witch Elves hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they have incredible dueling potential and very good damage output, but their health to cost ratio is no good, particularly with 75 move speed. You
Yeah.
just don't want something that expensive and that slow without a shield.
And it's
In a
really
lot of
hard to get away from those Witch Elves. They're not slow either. I mean,
Nope.
without the Dark Riders, I would have gotten to safety, but there were Dark Riders. I was like, no, let me go, please.
Hey, you're not supposed to lose to Pigman. That causes problems.
I beat him in the next series, but I lost that series pretty bad.
Goes to his head. You can't let him win.
Hell yeah. I'm on to Grand Cathay. For campaign, I think it's probably the Grace of Kian. Just an armor-piercing, magic damage, fire damage, very elite archer.
Yeah, that's like the snowball unit. It gets going and it just kills anything.
Good in sieges, good in open battles, good at defending sieges. It's good in every situation. And Cathay is so good at just like dipping home and hiring a bunch of Jade Warriors quick and getting back out on the battlefield. Getting Celestial Dragon crossbows, I think it's 2 or 3 turns, and it's like, well, I don't want to sit around for that long, so just give me an ROR instead. And I'll keep moving. I think that's fine, because the Jolly Green Giant sucks ass, even in campaign. The War Drum is fine, but the basic War Drum's also fine. Celestial Dragon Guard ROR is overkill, so yeah, I don't think there really is another option, to be honest. And all the Grand Cathay campaign players are going to hate me for that, but I think the Grace of Kian is the only ROR worth your time in campaign. Maybe the Righteous Lances, but I don't know. I've never had an issue with the AI dueling me in the air, or controlling aerial superiority. The AI usually just dives their air units into a bad situation and get wrecked, so...
Yeah. I can kind of see the argument as like a situational counter to like AI arty and stuff if you're like not an arty build or for sieges, but eh.
Grace of Kian's good.
Yeah.
For land battles and conquest, is it still the Empress Croman? I feel like Croman's gotten enough nerfs that it at
Yeah, they,
least...
they fell off a lot, but they're still pretty powerful. Like I've lost to them recently, just running around and taking out ranged backline. You have to like micro them. They're not like a face roll anymore. But it's still
I think again my problem is looking around. It's not that I love the Croman, it's that the other RORs are pretty underwhelming.
yes.
So yeah, I guess it's a
Bandits can
pity
go.
Croman vote.
Yeah, pity Crowan, but the bandits can do okay. They're like an all right unit.
True. They feel niche though. Same as the Dragonback Slayers. There's not a lot of fire damage to sync up with.
Yeah. It's like you kind of want them for like trolls or just a vanguard summon in Dom.
What about Dom?
It's probably the bandits, honestly.
Nice.
It's tossed between them and Croman. They're both like fine units, but the not Rars are better on the Cathay roster than the Rars.
Damn right. Question about Dom. Are the Jade and Jet Lion terrible there?
Yes.
Okay, good. So they might actually get buffed, because if you're like, no, they're terrorizing the Dom scene, I'm like, well, then these things are gonna suck in land battles forever.
I didn't know that Cathay actually existed in Dom.
Good. Good.
What's Cathay?
I don't know. Garbage faction. They finally got balanced in land battles. Now they're like strong but not oppressive. I hope if they buff them, they don't go back the route they had where it's just like, we need to make these infantry as tanky as possible in a box. I'm like, that doesn't help domination either, please.
Static formations are not as good in Dom, especially community play, because the community maps tend to be bigger and have more cover.
Yeah.
Because people like that style of play. They don't like on interactive boxes that much.
I hope they buff their mobility. Get some more damage out. I mean, Cathay, they just got a DLC with Shadows of Change, but they need another DLC that's like mostly fast focused, because you have 3 Cav and 2 of them are essentially the same thing, but one has armor and one doesn't. So, I don't know. It's not ideal. The Lions need some serious buffs.
Yep. Maybe give them like a crossbow skirm cav or something.
But we'll be here forever if I keep getting distracted. Greenskins!
Ooh, there's a lot of Rars.
There's a lot of Rars. For campaign, I think it has to be the Biggin.
The big one.
The
Ah!
Biggin. He's so good in sieges. He's so good in regular battles. I mean, he's not cheap, but by the time you're able to recruit him, you have enough WA going that you're probably rich as hell, and you just don't want to go home. So you want to summon him in like a territory you just captured or something and keep going. You don't want to go home and recruit units. And he's amazing auto resolve value, because especially when you're when you're snowballing, you don't even want to play anymore. So you're just like, fuck it, Biggin, do Acid Burper, the Ragnarok Queen, make this army my auto resolve army, and just click through.
150 armor, 16,000 health. The auto resolver loves that bad boy.
Yeah. So I think that's him. Not too much else to say there. In multiplayer, there's a lot of good answers.
Yes.
I will posit that the 8-peak loons, but I acknowledge I'm obsessed with these guys, and everybody knows that they're my favorite. So Tim might have to be the voice of reason, but my brief thing for them is $725 is a very reasonable price point. Unbreakable on your front line is nice for the Greenskins, because usually you're breaking a bunch. These guys just constantly apply poison. Loons of the 8 peaks usually get 2 of their casts off before this unit dies. So that can disrupt the front line a lot. I do like throwing it sideways down the line, so it's usually not going to hit what these guys are fighting. It's going to hit what's next to them, but it helps you break through the front. And Stalk makes sure they can't get shot on the way up, so it's not like your opponent knows they're coming and saves Fate of Buna for them or whatever. So usually you'll get those 2 loons casts off. 3 is a bit greedy, but 2 is solid. So there's my pitch, and I am now prepared to be wrong.
Yeah, it's a solid unit. I think if we're going unit that most often trades up, and by how much, it's got to be the Mange Marauders. You can't take them everywhere, but they're relevant in most situations where you outrange them. And it's just a unit that can very easily do way more than its value.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they've got a good AP ratio, a lot of models, they're fast. You can kind of use them as like a dog to chase stuff off. They just kind of have a lot going on and are very popular as a result.
All right, I will put them as the land battle conquest one, because you argued for them, but also I acknowledge reality that I see them a lot more than I see the 8-peak loons in other people's builds. So maybe my fascination is not warranted.
The 8 peak loons are like a solid unit, but rarely are they, getting like 1,000 golds.
Mm-hmm.
Where the mangy marauders often trade up significantly.
I think my issue is just a bad skirmish player, like in general. So I get impatient and I try to use them as dogs while they still have most of their ammo, and then they lose a lot of models.
Yeah, or like target selection issues, like getting the positioning and the choice of what they're shooting right.
Yeah, so maybe I'm just trash. What about Dom O Sensei?
Probably same answer.
Morgums?
Yeah, Dom. There's some other ones like the Rar Squig Hopper's pretty great because it's fast and has Vanguard, so you can pick a time when it gets a good engage. But I think just generally the Morgribs give you a summonable answer to like a big anti-infantry large unit, like a Star Dragon or something,
Mm-hmm.
which is something the roster really likes to have. So they're kind of in every build, and they're good in all of those builds. So it's got to be these guys. But there's a lot of good options, like the Broken Tusks are strong.
Mm-hmm.
Rusty Errors are strong. 8 Peaks is definitely a good unit that shows up in a lot of builds.
The Swamp Things are a good
Oh
source of
yeah,
terror.
yeah. Yeah, the trolls are very solid. What puts the trolls down a bit for me is just that they can get countered so hard.
Yeah,
But when they can't, they're very like against melee factions. They're quite good, like Slaanesh.
take that, Slaanesh. High Elves. Campaign? Is it still the Fireborn?
I would have gone Well, it depends what's good in campaign. If we're defining it as like wins you the campaign, early units that have range are very very good.
Talons are solid. Good leadership, good damage, self synergy, and then also you'll probably get a Sun Dragon mount pretty early on for some of your lords.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
Sun Dragons don't have fire damage. Never mind. This game sucks.
and they've got martial mastery, so they're actually like they'll hold up in melee.
Oh wow, they get martial mastery.
They get martial mastery, yeah.
Legends. Okay, I'll allow that. For land battles, it's got to be the Fireborn. You see them literally every single game. Fire damage to reduce enemy healing. They have access to healing because they usually have a life caster. Anti-large armor piercing. Fantastic leadership. There is nothing to complain about. The Fireborn are an amazing unit.
Yeah, it makes sense. I won't disagree with that. Dom, it's the Storm Riders actually. They're really good
I
because
am shocked.
yeah, you often so the Fireborn have a similar problem to the Demis, which is that they're extremely expensive cav
Mm-hmm.
that can be countered. So, the unit's playable, but it's not like great because you spend 1,800 on it, and then they like 3v1 it with light cav. Like they'll get a spear on it or something, and then like summon cav to rear charge it. The counterintuitively plays a really important role, which is that they're a Vanguard summonable range unit that's good at approaching the point because they have Firewall move. So they're in a lot of builds as like a mid game summon where you bring them in to shoot it like Cav or Skirm Cav, and then like advance towards the point and supplement whatever range you started with.
Mm-hmm. That's the most surprising one so far. I haven't seen this unit in literal years in land battles.
Yeah, well, it's like the Vanguard doesn't do a lot for you in land battles because you're not really like if you were gonna Vanguard and kite them, you take Shadow Warriors or Skirm Cav.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of just like a more expensive regular Lothern, which isn't that good. But in Dom, it's got a lot of stats for the extra cost increase, and the Vanguard is like highly relevant because you don't have another ranged infantry that can fight Cav and get summoned near the points. And the firewall moving's really good. Like if you're taking a lot of Lothern in land battles, you're playing kind of stationary probably.
Mm-hmm.
But in Dom, its purpose is to be a tempo play. Like it's the last thing you summon before the fight,
So
and it's the only like good ranged infantry that can fight Cav that can do that.
now I want to check my Dom intuition. I would have assumed that you were going to say the Rahagra's Pride. Now, Before you tell me how wrong I am, I thought it would be nice because they're not crazy expensive, but also they do a ton of damage on the charge, and then plus their mighty roar, they might be good. And I mean, 82 speed's not bad, so you could summon them to go contest a point that's like not the main focus of the battle, and it's usually being guarded by like 2 half-health marauders who won a previous fight in the early game, and you could just like shock damage plus roar, push them away, and all of a sudden you're contesting a point, and then the Rahagri's Pride can still like rotate to other fights. Are they just?
Yeah, that's all correct.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
they're good. The main issue they have in Dom is unlike land battles where you have your initial cav complement and it like somebody wins the mobility fight and then that's it. In Dom they can summon cav, and
Mhm.
so it's difficult. Like in an equal contest against an even opponent, it's pretty difficult to stop them from getting cav on cav engages. So space control becomes about efficiency of cav trading, and these guys are not the best in cav duels.
Okay.
So you like summon, like in that scenario, you summon them and they're like, oh, the Rogger's Pride is coming. They back up their Marauders and summon 2 light cav, and you don't trade well into that.
Yeah, 35 armor is not great.
Exactly. Yeah, they're expensive. They don't have that much health, and they really don't want to get like they'll win the 1v1 against the first light cav, but the second one coming in behind them is going to be bad news for you.
Gotcha.
Like Tomb King Skelly Horsemen
Okay.
are a big problem in multiples.
On to Khorne. I think the best regiment of Renown. Okay. All right. All right. So here's the thing. It's not the Hellforged Bellowers.
Yeah, you got to work on that.
It's the Knights of the Brazen Throne. No. So here we go.
They're fucking sweet.
In campaign, the Knights of the Brazen Throne are sweet because the AI are
They
too
are.
stupid. Their crazy murderous charge, you can just abuse the AI so hard because they're pretty terrible at bracing. Like they try to, and they have really good micro, but it's super easy. I usually just take a dog and the Knights of the Brazen Throne, and I'll charge the dog at a piece of infantry, break their brace, and then I start to back off, and the AI start to chase him or start to reform. They take too long, and the Knights of the Brazen Throne can like literally delete them. I've won entire battles with just keeping my lord in the corner, and then a dog and a Knight of the Brazen Throne just charging everything. Especially if I'm trying to take a settlement, and I don't want to kill the garrison. And the garrison doesn't have a single entity. It's literally just like 6 or 7 infantry. And my infantry are all super busted up, and I just want to take the settlement and heal. The Knights of the Blazing Throne can like kill all those guys and take no damage from cycle charge abuse. But I suppose now that I'm saying that out loud, the Hellforged Bellowers could just kite them. So I guess
It's
like,
fun. It's a cool unit.
I love my
great.
Knights of the Brazen Throne. They're so fun. They're terrible in land battles, so let me have this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay. In land battles, there's good options, but there's one option everyone's complaining about, so I guess it's probably that one.
Yep. What would the number like? It's obviously the OP RAR. What would the number 2 be?
Probably the Bloodwake Berserkers, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, those guys are scary.
Slightly situational because they can get shot and stuff, but if they don't, they're gonna kill everything.
Yeah. It is the Hellforged Bellowers, though, and we should mention why. Maybe it'll get nerfed, and then we'll look silly, but as of this patch, it can't miss. It has homing attacks, and then each homing attack spawns a vortex. It's really good versus infantry, meh versus cav, meh versus single entities. It can heal in melee, but it's just very good at clearing out a front line and charging up army passive for Khorne, so everyone's taking it.
And it's fast and it's tanky, so it's like pretty hard to catch. I think the only thing that really counters it is a better SE goon squad than Khorne has.
Mm-hmm.
I beat Alfred with like a Dragon Phoenix goon squad.
What about for Dom?
Oh, same.
It's the Bellowers?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
same reason.
Alright. Quick and easy. Take that, Khorne. Kislev. Not a lot of good regiments of renown.
Nope.
Not a lot. Is it just the Bears? The Oath
Yeah,
Brothers of Tor?
yeah, the Wolfhearts are no good. The Watchmen are no good. The Beowulfs get some play, but are kind of overcosted. It's got to be the Oath Brothers. Yep.
Is it for Dom too?
Yeah.
Okay, then for me that's a triple because I also think they're the best in campaign. Like,
Yeah, sounds right.
none of these are terrible in campaign, but the Oath Brothers are actually good. So
Yeah.
again, just do that. Land battles, they're anti-cav, they're anti-monster, they're decent anti-infantry. They're just very expensive, but so is your whole roster.
Oh yeah.
That's what I got. Oh, take that, Kislev. You're the fastest one so far. Lizards! In campaign, it's probably the Shredder.
It's a very cool unit.
It's a very cool unit. His auto-resolve value is insanely high. His missile strength is good if you're just trying to cheese out and kite the AI for a bit. He has so many leadership debuffs that you can also kind of... You could do a Pterodon build where you just have a shit ton of Pterodons and the Shredder on the ground, and then you don't get the aerial debuff for only having flying units. Plus, when anything routes, you can just follow him off with the Pterodons so you don't have to take any damage. And he's super spammable with a life Slaanesh, where you just start a battle and then heal cap him and then win the battle and stuff. I don't know. He's everything you want in campaign.
In context, the craziest is probably the cohort of Sotek on a Tehennawin campaign. But that's more because of the Lord than the unit itself.
Yeah.
But these things can get like above chosen stats very easily. And very early in the campaign.
Yeah. What about land battles in the Conquest? I've been playing a lot of Lizardmen recently. They have a couple solid ones, but it's probably the cohort of Waddle, right?
Probably, yeah. The Colossedon hunters are pretty. They're not like a take them everywhere unit, but with the flying changes, they're a little more potent than they used to be.
Yeah.
But it's probably cohort of Waddle.
They're just really good at defending a Slaanesh, and Slaanes are super meta in land battles right now.
Yes.
Dazed is good, really good weapon strength, perfect vigor on their own, so their leadership isn't going anywhere. Just a lot of buffs, so yeah, in land battles they'll do great. And they usually get their Croxagore passive, because in land battles you also just take Skinks, like you never take Saurus. So yeah, I think it's the cohort of Waddle.
In Dom, unit's okay. It might actually be the Shredder. Not because you just take it all the time, but there are specific matchups where the Shredder is actually just an enormous problem. And so it's probably more matchup defining. Because like if you got rid of the cohort of Waddle, the Lizards would do something else. But the Shredder is a difficult thing to replace in the role that it does.
That's very spooky.
Yep.
And with collision attacks, can actually kill infantry now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it kills everything.
Norsca campaign? Probably the Cold Voider. Dragon's a really strong campaign. Your breath attacks down the line of enemy infantry is going to be really, really good. Good stats.
Yeah, I think so too.
Land battles... I don't know. What do you think? Brutes of the Hound or the Maws of Savagery?
Probably the Maws. I don't love the Brutes. They're like they have good damage, but they're so fragile. It's a lot to spend.
Fair. So the Maws of Savagery, Skin Wolves, but they get armor and regeneration, which I guess, okay, they don't get that. All Skin Wolves have regeneration. They're just armored Skin Wolves with better stats. That's really it.
I want to honorary mention the Shrine because it feels like an ROR, but it's not.
Oh, the War Shrine? Yeah, if Soul Crusher was a War Shrine Mammoth, it would actually maybe get taken.
Yes. Yeah, the War Shrine Mammoth is incredible. But not an ROR. Oh, whoa, when did Scylla get put on Norsca?
With the DLC.
You can just take that in multiplayer?
Yeah.
Huh.
He's still not that great, but yeah.
That's why I haven't seen it. I'm like, Norsca got a unit the first time in 11 years.
That's it. I was trying to figure out why the Models of Savagery are 400 gold more than the armored skin wolves. They have armor piercing.
Yes, yeah, they have AP.
I forgot basic skin wolves don't have armor piercing. They feel like they do because they trade so well into heavy cav, but
Yeah, they
no.
just hit so hard, it's fine.
The Maws
Yeah,
are
yeah,
actually...
I never really take the Maws, but they're like okay.
Yeah,
The Koreans really like Miststalkers and Famir in general.
Famir have been getting some more play. They're not terrible. I just still feel... I feel like they're not enough. I end a lot of Norsca games when I take Famir with just Famir and my Lord left, and then I get, like, whittled down by cycle charging.
I played some... There's a lot of land battle Korean mains on Monkey Land server, and they're pretty good. They take Famir great weapons, they beat me with them. They like them as, like, a durable piece to contest the mobility game. It's
Gotcha.
pretty interesting. I hadn't seen people succeeding with them, but they've made them work against me. There's a lot of Norsca players in Korea. They really like Norsca.
What about for Dom?
I think this is another faction that you just say no to ROR, but it's probably the Cold Voider if one of them is going to like have a real game impact for similar reasons to campaign. Actually,
Good breath attacks, solid melee stats.
yeah, it's like a cost-effective terror source, can kill lords. It's actually a pretty good unit in Dom.
Yeah, plus 10 melee attack, and on top of already 56 natural melee attack is pretty intense.
Yeah, a lot of goon potential with the aura. You know, you like get on them with that and like a Throg or a Wolfric, and there's a pretty good chance you're going to kill their lord.
It's immune to contact effects as well.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I had no idea. So he can't be poisoned.
Nice.
He can't be poisoned. He can't be slowed. Damn. Nurgle! None of them? No, there's some okay ones.
Yeah, my boy, the Frolickers.
I know.
I think the Noxbringer is very good. Well, you and I had a Noxbringer-based experience.
That was very funny. No ammunition for you. All right.
We played Noxbringer VP for folks listening.
Yeah.
In, some tournament that was a long time ago.
And then all my units ran out of ammo instantaneously, and I couldn't counter because I needed cannons to stop you from kiting me, and then my cannons had no fucking ammo.
Noxbringer just went brrr. I actually think this unit's very good. I've been taking it in Dom quite a bit. It trades up. It provides space control. I think it's also very good. Berserk loves this unit.
The tactic he deploys that makes it crazy is he'll take shots from closer in. So he'll be like moving between units with it, and he'll pause to take a shot. It does a crazy amount of damage when it's like well within calibration, because the explosives all hit.
So I think it's probably our campaign one. All the reasons we said for the Demons of Chaos. For land battles, I'm gonna say either the Rotting Riders see a lot of play, but I think the Angels of Decay are better in land battles. If you get them in the right situation, or you take them in a matchup where your opponent has bad anti-air, they can like really abuse people. Like it's kind of disgusting and unfun how strong they can be.
Erase a lord in the right situation.
Yeah. And then for Dom, it sounds like you're a big fan of the Noxbringer, but what about your boys, the Frolickers?
It's the Frolickers. The Noxbringer is good, but the Frolickers we've talked about. You know, they're an absolute workhorse. They should be in every build.
All right. I started off salty on Nurgle, but I'm looking around. There's actually a lot of good ones. The Angels of Decay, the Noxbringer, the Frolickers, the Rotting Riders. They have some solid ones. They have also terrible
Uncle
ones.
for Uncle.
Uncle Frunkle's funny, but he's actually pretty bad.
He's quite bad. You can actually bring him in Dom against like Slaanesh. Like it's not good, but it does work.
He doesn't die to Seekers?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
But he dies to their Skirmcav, so you need a way to deal with that. Like you don't do it, but if you want to be cute, you can do it, and it's not completely embarrassing.
I want to be cute. I'm the cutest.
The Festering Stooges are okay in land battles too.
Only in blob builds, and those are on their way out.
Yeah.
All right.
But they have like applications. We can move on.
Ogres! It's the piggyback knights for campaign, because you can get them really early and really cheap, and they're fucking insane.
insane.
For
I
land
think that's
battles,
all
they're
three.
literally banned because they're so fucking insane.
Van and Dom always trade up.
Do you take him in Dom?
Oh yes.
Then they're all three.
Oh yes.
Yeah, there's nothing to complain about with this unit. Until it gets nerfed or something, it's just 550, trades up against literally everything, is fantastic in every way. Its stats don't look impressive, but it is.
56 charge bonus.
56 charge bonus. Uncanny.
That's where.
Sorry.
Oh, go on.
Uncanny coordination gives you more stuff, and then also the thing that a lot of campaign players don't know is they can't get knocked over. So if you charge Cav into them, they immediately start swinging back.
Oh yeah.
It's tough.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think any other cheap spearmen in the game have anything like that charge bonus.
No.
That's where the performance is coming from. They have just like an absolutely insane charge bonus.
Dude, a lot of Cav don't have that charge bonus. I'm trying to look.
Yeah. That's like a decent shock cav charge bonus.
It's 12 more than Cold One Knights.
Yeah.
Oh god. Okay.
Coming for you.
That's
The
messed up.
Trapper RR is a pretty good unit too.
The ogres have other good RORs, but nothing stands up to the piggyback riders.
Oh yeah, not close.
For Skaven campaign, it's got to be the Avalanche Mortar. It's so crazy good in sieges and regular battles. And since you're not playing an opponent, they don't know to just throw a single entity at it. Like, I don't know. They're uncontested for me in campaign, but in multiplayer, this actually gets interesting. Skaven have a lot of very critical RORs. Like, the ROR with Lightning Cannon is incredible. Dwarfing Menace is incredible. Avalanche Mortars are still amazing. Natty Boom Sharpshooters are really, really good. Council Guard can be fine in certain matchups, so it's like, there's a lot of good options. If I had to just pick one for Land Battles and Conquest, I think it's got to be Natty Boom with Sharpshooters. Stalk and Snipe on a very long-ranged unit can catch a lot of opponents off guard. And they are weak to Fate of Buna, which that is a big downside. But aside from that, they're a very strong unit. And just safe in many builds, many matchups. As long as the map is bigger than small. If it's on a small map, then don't take them. But otherwise, they'll do good work for most people.
You're gonna like the Dom answer, I think.
What's the Dom answer?
This is actually unironic. So Skaven and Dom are very different. They're like a very fun faction because instead of a 20 roster cap, you have a 40 roster cap. So you can like really rat horde, which changes the dynamics a lot. Like you don't really want Natty Boobos when you can have like 5 Skaven save slingers, which are one of the most efficient units in the game. And you don't see them in land battles in the same quantity because you're kind of capped on your slots. So I actually think this is the unit I've been taking the most. Blight Scab's Plague Pack.
Really?
Yes.
I thought you were setting up the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers with like the
no.
cheap shit.
No, so the other RORs are not as efficient as the rat hordes. This one plays a unique role. It duels other infantry exceptionally well. And it also can hold against Cav and keep a bunch of your like late game spears around. So I've been taking this unit more, and it's done shockingly well. And I don't typically take the other RARs. I just take like infinite rats.
Infinite rats. I love it. The Plague Pack are something I've always wanted to be good, but then like Fate of Buna or Burning Head or a good heavy cav charge takes so much damage off them in land battles. I'm like, it feels like my opponent has to misplay for me to get use out of this unit here.
Yeah, and in Dom you usually see them in more like builds that don't exist in land battles. Like they'll be in like a 30 stack mid game push, where you're coming in with either like your core is like 4 or 5 650 Globadiers, or a lot of Night Runners and Slings, like 10, and they're coming in to reinforce the lower HP infantry. So it's kind of it's one of the few cases where like there just isn't there's like entire builds of Skaven and Dom that just don't exist in land battles because you can't like fully role play the rat hordes in land battles.
That's what it's all about, is the role play.
I'm trying to sell you on Dom here. You can tell. A human boy. The pool is not so bad. Come on in.
Dude, I've been trying. Like, for the World Cup, Game 5 is Dom. but like the biggest problem
Nice.
for me is time, and I can kind of coast. I can coast on being good at land battles because I've played it for like 4 or 5 years, and then like when I'm casting a game, I'm like, oh, I still know what I'm talking about, even if I haven't gotten time to practice this whole month. I still know what units do what. Domination, I have to learn. And it's like, oh, that takes time.
Like you can take 40 rats. 40 rats is meta. Holy shit!
40
Just
rats is good.
Just come ask an RTK. We'll give you the builds and stuff.
All right,
It's a friendly bunch.
I miss Platypus.
Oh yeah, he's still around. He hangs out on VC. He's just not playing much Warhammer. Did you know that he's like really tall? This is a fun fact. He's like 6'6" or something.
Oh, from his voice and his general demeanor, I kind of assumed 4'5". He's got that.
No,
He's got little dog energy.
but he's actually like a Goliath.
Wow. I knew he was handsome, but I thought he was handsome and short.
He's a big dude.
Speaking of handsome, Slaanesh.
Mmm.
Not a lot of good RORs, but the RORs that they actually use are pretty good.
Yep.
For campaign, I think it's probably the Eternal Entourage.
Oh yeah.
Just for agency. Like again, as I tried to pitch for the ROR Knights of the Brazen Throne, like you could really abuse AI with good cavalry charging, and the Eternal Entourage reward that heavily. So they're good. I don't have much more of a pitch than that. I think it's more in campaign. The other RORs are just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
In land battles, probably still the Eternal Entourage.
Yeah.
Bringers of Beguilement are solid, but not crazy. Mirrorguard are solid, but not crazy. I think the Eternal Entourage is the only one that's like, holy shit, that does damage.
Oh yeah. Thinking dumb. The Bringers have some nice applications, like against VC, for example. They're very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
But the Entourage is like a very strong, generally applicable unit.
You were saying for Dom too.
Yeah, same thing.
We got a 3-fer. Onto the Tomb Kings. Campaign. Chosen the Gods are really solid in campaign.
Yeah, good target selection against those campaign armies with more expensive things.
Do you think it outweighs the Sphinx?
Probably, yeah. They also come out earlier in the campaign.
True.
Sphinx got some nerfs. I think they nerfed the campaign upkeep too.
Okay. So the Chosen are our campaign choice. For land
feel like-
battles... Sorry, what?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like that kind of unit, the big boys, like the end game pieces, are less like quote unquote good, because they come out a lot of the time when you're already snowballing.
Yeah.
And so the units, I feel like the units that enable you to snowball end up having a much bigger impact on your campaign.
True. In land battles, it's really hard choice between the Sphinx and the Chosen of the Gods because Chosen are generally safer, like they're used in more builds, but the Sphinx, since the buffs, is the reason Tomb Kings can even participate in certain matchups. So it's like, I don't know. I think probably the Sphinx has the edge a bit, just because like it's kind of menacing multiplayer right now, and people are even banning Tomb Kings. Not like tournament hosts, but players when they're given their ban. They'll sometimes use it on Tomb Kings because they're just sick of Setron, a cat, and the Sphinx Usef. And I don't think anybody's banning Tomb Kings because of the Chosen of the Gods.
Yeah, that sounds right.
What about El Domination?
So, Tomb Kings are like a top 2 Dom faction. They're really good. Chosen are probably the best RAR. Like the Sphinx is good in Dom too, but it's easier to counter things like the Sphinx, so it's hard to get cheesed by like 2 big SEs.
Mm-hmm.
But the Chosen is just like another all-around really strong unit. Often trades up, has some matchup defining properties. I was actually thinking about the Kepra Guard. You just don't take it quite as often, but when it's relevant, it's probably the best infantry at that price point in the game. It's just an unbelievable like center line holder, and it'll chew through pretty much anything and divert a lot of attention and still survive and do a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Kepra Guard is phenomenal. It's pretty good in land battles too, but I don't think it's quite like the Chosen of the Gods.
regeneration, Realm of Souls healing, and then the Tomb King's lore passive if you're taking Cetra. They just have so much like little healing that eventually it's like, man, I can't chip this unit down.
Yeah, and 41, 51, 42 with bonus versus infantry is like an incredible stat line.
Yeah.
They have high model count, so their DPS is insane. It's just a very like this unit will dominate the front line against almost anything.
Tzeentch. Campaign might just be the Sour Guts.
Yeah, ranged is good.
Sour Guts, they're like the Chromatic Abominations, but they do a bit more damage and they have more ammo. And then if they get charged by stuff in melee, they can usually hold their own and they have their little explosion when they die. So there's really nothing to hate. And like you've been saying over and over, you can get them nice and early in the campaigns. They help you get that leg up as opposed to a hyper late game thing like the Knights of Immolation or AC and the Fallen. I don't know. I think the Sour Guts are just solid.
Sounds right.
Land battles, it's probably them or the Chromatic Abominations because you usually see both at the same time. So you can argue which one is better because one's 200 gold cheaper, but otherwise they're like practically the same unit. I'll put the Sour Guts in there just because I know Alfredino thinks they're cracked and he's a better player than me. So it's like, I'll let that be my tiebreaker. But either them or the Chromatic Abominations is a very good choice for the land battle best ROR.
I think it's the same in Dom. Although I will say the Weird Spawn are a very good unit.
I think they're
They show up.
underappreciated for sure.
Hmm. But they're like a unit that should be played more and is very cost efficient. But the Sour Guts are like everyone knows they're good. They're in almost every build. They do fine even when people are expecting them.
The
So
Weird
it's gotta be
Spawn
powerful.
have that 20% extra physical resistance is what makes them different.
Oh yeah, it's a great for like a terror causing monstrous imp. They're one of the better units at that price point that exists. They can do well into a lot of unit types. Their best application is sitting on top of a halberd, like a Chaos Warrior. This comes up against like Khorne and some factions. Like a Chaos Warrior of Tzeentch with a spawn on it is going to beat almost anything in a lot of matchups, or like Slaanesh.
I forgot they had terror. I knew they had the physical resistance, but I thought they just had fear.
Yeah, it's a good. They have a pretty strong. They have good MA and MD unlike most spawn. Also, it's a very strong unit.
Nice.
Shields, but it's Sour Guts.
Okay. Vampire Coast, as we're getting close to the end here. In campaign, it's probably the Shade Wraith Gunners or Queen Bess.
Oh yeah, both of those are great effects in campaign.
I'll go with Queen Bess because she's better in a siege.
Yeah,
But honestly, either is a good answer. The Shade Wraith Gunners just have incredible damage, and they have really good leadership debuffs, plus magic damage is good at taking out demonic factions if you're, for some reason, fighting demons, though I find that hard to do in the Coast campaigns. You have to really go find demons. So, yeah. Queen Bess, you get her through one of those, like, event things, like the rituals or whatever. So that's not that hard to acquire. You can get her...
yeah, you get really. It's good.
Yeah, you can get her globally. And the AI aren't going to target her with spells like players will, and then kill the big cannon model, and then she's worthless.
Yep.
I'll give her that. In land battles, I think it has to be the Shade Wraith Gunners, just because they're good for all the same reasons they're good in campaign, but they're not weak to, like, 3 fireballs.
Yep.
So.
I do like really wide coast builds in land battles a lot. And since the buffs, the Tide of, I don't know how you say it, but Skilled is a unit that I've found to be pretty good.
Tide of Skilled is good. Also, I fucked up, and Incars is going to yell at me. So Incars, I just forgot it existed. I forgot it existed. It's Lamprey's Revenge. That's my bad. I literally forgot that unit was here.
If people didn't know about this unit, it would be the best RAR for multiplayer on the roster. For sure. I think one problem is that it's so good that, like, generally folks will build and play with it in mind. And so a lot of the time you'll see it do very badly. But that's because it's so good that people feel that they can construct their setup with it specifically in mind.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna put it on here just because like you keep saying it is so good that we've all learned to counter it. But I feel like an easy argument is, well, just because you're countering it doesn't mean it's not good. It means you're building your
Yeah.
whole build to stop it. And it's like, yeah.
It means you have to. Yeah. I think that's the right point.
But that's why I didn't think about it, is because in a lot of my builds, I don't even take it, so I make my opponents sink their gold into countering something that's not there.
Yeah, same. I go like really wide, but that's because I mean that dynamic. The level 1 is this unit is invincible, and it has incredible damage output and kills SEs and other monsters and infantry and
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
What about Dom?
I think it's probably Tide of Skilled. That's a boring answer. It's like, so the cheap infantry. It's the only one that can kind of do okay into enemy infantry, which is something you want. But it's like it occupies a similar niche to the Frolickers. A more fun answer is the Night Terrors are a Vanguard summonable pterosaurs.
Yeah, that's not bad. I feel like Mourngull's got shadow buffed because they used to have good stats on paper, but in practice they would just knock people around and not do anything. I feel like recently they've actually been doing more damage.
Yeah, well, they gave them Chilling Aura, the RAR. The RAR got buffed, and it got Chilling Aura and Spell Resist like 2 patches ago.
Damn.
And Chilling Aura is really really good. I think they also gave it some stat buffs. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think they all got frostbite on contact. Was one of the big stat buffs they got, and then they might have gotten some melee attack.
They had an animation issue before where they would like lunge into the middle of infantry and then get surrounded. They might have changed like the amount of lunging. I don't know.
Yeah.
This unit doesn't. It's a fun unit. It doesn't trade up that much for me in Dom, but I like to have it because it fills a Vanguard summoning role that is effective. Like after your initial wave is dead, you need some way to contest, and it's good at that.
I have 3 minutes until I'm supposed to be streaming something else.
Go!
I'm gonna get in trouble. Vampire counts. Campaign. A lot of people are gonna say Claw of Nagash. I disagree because a regular Mortis engine does as much damage. The Claw doesn't have a better Mortis raining effect, so I don't actually think it's that good.
Yeah, I agree. Don't want to spend that money.
Sternsmen, I think, are better. They're just an unbreakable, regenerating, boss-ass frontline that the counts actually have pretty terrible frontlines, so I think getting a Graveguard that can actually damage somebody is pretty nice.
Yep.
For land battles, probably the Dire Pack. They're squishy, but they're really good at damaging stuff, have pretty high melee attack, good bonus for 14 bonus versus large is nothing to scoff at, and they're really good cav support. But I'm gonna take the Tim line. You honestly usually skip RORs in land battles for the vampire counts. All their RORs are quite bad. The Sternsmen are suffering badly because since CA added the cool change, I'm not complaining about the change, that fire damage reduces healing. This is the healing faction, so the Sternsmen's weakness to fire due to their regeneration is now a big fucking problem because people are taking a ton of fire damage versus you in multiplayer. So I think the Dire Pack get it just by default because a lot of these RORs are pretty bad.
Yep. I will say in Dom, the Claw of Nagash sees a lot of play.
Yeah?
Hard to kill. Wins the game.
What makes it harder to kill than a regular one?
Spell resist.
Oh, it has spell resist.
It does.
Interesting. Well, the AI don't use spells anyway, so my campaign point stands.
Yeah. That's right. Also the Chilling Aura. So
Yeah.
it's harder to catch and kill in melee. And when it shows up in Dom, it's pretty centerpiecey. Like you'll push their ranged assets and play like Protect the Queen. And so the extra, and you're fighting later with more money. So the extra 300 is less of a big deal. It's more important that the Mortis stays alive.
Gotcha. Warriors of Chaos.
Oh my god, there's a lot of RARs.
There's a lot of RARs. Campaign?
I want it to be the Slaughter Guard, like the Khorne Halberd Chosen, because it's a very cool unit.
It's a very cool unit.
I have no idea what it actually is.
It's probably the Soul of Damnation.
Yeah, that's probably true, actually.
It's the only artillery you can get. You can get it on the move. Has really good damage. Helps you in sieges a ton. Especially breaking a hole in the wall so you can get in somewhere besides the gate. And you don't have to use ladders to reduce your vigor to fucking nothing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an artillery apologist in campaign, but I find a lot of factions ROR artillery is usually their best just because I can abuse the AI so heavily.
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't know. Infantry or infantry, you have high stats, but the AI is usually going to cheat on stats. So then having higher stats than the AI doesn't help as much. I don't know. Even basic AI marauders are sometimes unkillable gods, and I'm like, the Slaughter Guard are trading even! Oh god! Yeah. I don't know. In land battles... Probably... the weird spawn.
I was gonna say the same thing, actually.
Yeah. We hyped them up before. They're good. They're really good.
Yeah.
Armor Sundering is also quite nice, because a lot of Warriors who cast Infantry don't actually have armor piercing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this unit is significantly underplayed. I take it a lot. It does well.
Forsaken...
also, like,
Sorry.
Unbreakable on a Sundering unit is great. Because there's like one of them left, and it's sitting there still debuffing and causing terror.
Forsaken recently got buffs and are now seeing a lot of play. They synergize very well with the weird spawn.
Ooh, yeah. Like Spawn avoids them getting cav charged, and then it also makes their charge do a ton of damage because of the Sunder. Yep.
Yeah, and they have high weapon strength but low armor piercing.
Perfect.
What about Dom, good sir?
Yeah, same thing.
Weird spawn?
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
It is great.
All the same reasons.
Yep.
Final faction, the Wood Elves. In campaign, it's probably the Hawkeyes of Drakira.
Brrr. Boop, 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 boop.
They go burr. Lots of damage, good slows, good discourages that you can use to route off things. No complaints, great unit. Fantastic. In land battles, the Wild Hunters of Khorne are in every single build all the time. They got the Fireborn treatment, so they're just very expensive, good cav unit that can trade well into other cav units or single entities, crazy fast, all that stuff. So, no complaints in land battles about them. Just watch out for Fate of Buna. Always have a regrowth ready to counter the Fate of Buna, so you don't lose models.
Yeah, I agree. I think that all makes sense. And Dom, they see a lot of play. I think it's a mistake to take them.
You're taking the Loix Tricksters!
Yeah, the cheap shit. Not the fun stuff, unfortunately. Sisters of Thorn is an incredible unit, and it pushes out the RAR. It's really underplayed. It has missile pen, so it when they shoot, they hit 2 infantry units. So they actually have the same DPS as 4 Skirm Kev.
Damn.
So the Wild Hunters is powerful but fragile and gets countered. Don't take RARs on Wood Elves.
Alright, which RAR would you have to take?
Hawkeyes.
Oh, okay.
It can fit in niche builds. You like want something to shock damage things, and it's decent as a 1 or 2 of with another Waystalker and Kitey builds. It's a fine unit. It's not as good as the basic chaff, but it certainly is playable.
Okay. Alright. Well, that was our comprehensive every game mode, every ROR, every faction thing. I have a tournament to go host. Tim the Wilder has a life to go live because he's living his best life, and we love Tim. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me, sir.
Fun hanging out.
Turin recommended you. Turin was not wrong. Catch Tim the Wilder in the finals of any Turin tournament where he will gracefully place second somehow. Every damn time.
Every time. Michelle Kwan over here.
All right, take care.
See ya.
Subscribe, yes.